Well, we all know how much Gibson likes to bring the smaller companies to court for various reasons. It looks like the lawyers at Gibson are going to be working overtime once again. This time they have DiMarzio in their sights. What does that all mean? Let's discuss. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Addicted to Gear. Today we have some juicy news to discuss. Gibson is once again trying to bring somebody to court. We know the history behind Gibson, and in the past they've done this quite a few times, but this time they're targeting DiMarzio. Yes, DiMarzio is a pretty big company in its own right. Their claim to fame is obviously pickups. Now, Gibson is claiming priority over DiMarzio for two different trademarks, and they're asserting that Gibson was selling guitars with double cream humbuckers in them and using the term patent applied for, or PAF, before DiMarzio was founded. Now, what's the issue with that? Well, the issue with that is that, believe it or not, and most people don't know this, DiMarzio actually owns a trademark on the term PAF, and they also own a design trademark on double cream humbucker pickups. A lot of people don't know that. Here are the facts. When DiMarzio filed for the trademark, it allegedly didn't own the double cream design or the phrase patent applied for. In actual fact, nobody owned it because it hadn't been trademarked till then. So Gibson argues that the double cream design and the trademark PAF are now generic due to widespread use by various brands, making them untrademarkable. If this is true and they're generic, why is Gibson going to so much trouble over this? So Gibson contends that the double cream pickup design is functional now, since cream is a common color for guitar plastics, and matching the plastics on a guitar during the manufacturing process is essential. So, they're arguing that you shouldn't be able to trademark that. So the other big thorn in Gibson's side is the PAF trademark, because according to Gibson, it is misleading, because consumers can often associate it with Gibson and be misled into thinking that Gibson is endorsing a product that has the PAF trademark on it, even though it's not one of their products. In this case, DiMarzio pickups. Now here's the big one. Gibson claims that at the time that the trademarks were filed by DiMarzio, DiMarzio was aware that Gibson owned the double cream design and PAF terms, accusing DiMarzio of committing fraud when filing for the trademarks. Now here is the rub. How can you own something if it wasn't already trademarked? So yes, you were using the double cream pickup design. Maybe you were one of the first companies to do so, and you had the little PAF sticker on your humbucker pickups, but they weren't trademarked. So in the eyes of the law, it was open to everyone. So let's see if we're all on the same page here. So basically, Gibson is saying that they were using the PAF sticker and they did have cream humbuckers available back in the day, which is technically true. However, they didn't really own any of that because nothing was trademarked and nothing was actually being sold as PAF pickups back then, because the aftermarket industry for guitar pickups wasn't really established till Mr. DiMarzio started selling these pickups on a huge scale throughout the world. And then that market was established. So Mr. DiMarzio, being a savvy businessman that he was, decided that he was going to trademark the term PAF, since Gibson hadn't done it yet, and distinguish his pickups over the terminology patent applied for. So DiMarzio is actually using the term PAF to represent a type of pickup, where the actual sticker on the Gibson pickups were just indicating to the consumers that a patent had been applied for and wasn't really representative of the pickup. That happened organically over time, and now we automatically think PAF, we think, vintage Gibson pickups. Now, regarding the cream pickups, yes, we all know that Gibson was producing pickups in that particular color way ahead of DiMarzio, yet once again, they had not actually trademarked anything. DiMarzio wasn't asleep at the wheel. They decided to trademark it. So in my eyes, you snooze, you lose. You know, they actually own that trademark. Now, it's not a word trademark. It's actually a design trademark. But at the end of the day, if that could be upheld in a court of law, well, they legally own the right to be able to produce cream-colored pickups, which ultimately means that Gibson would have to stop doing that. Now, it's interesting to me to see that Gibson is putting all this time and effort into these little things that don't seem important in the scope of things, because most people already associate PF pickups to the Gibson brand. But I can see how it can have a monetary value out in the real world, because then you can actually market using these terms and not have to risk being sued down the line, which is quite important for Gibson. I think Gibson shouldn't have poked the bear on all of this, because my impression is that most people didn't even know that DiMarzio had trademarks on these things, so it wouldn't be in their minds anyway. Now that it's come to the forefront and it's out in the media like this, people will realize this. And is that a good thing for Gibson, or did they just stub their toe, where they could have just been on their merry way and continued doing things like they always were doing? Well, it's definitely too soon to figure out how all of this is going to end. Gibson just filed this lawsuit last month, and I believe DiMarzio has until mid-January of next year to respond. So they do have time to consult with their lawyers and see what they want to do in terms of putting a plan in place. But it's definitely something that we want to follow. It's an interesting story here. So we want to see where everything ends up. Now, if you're a lawyer out there and you understand all of the nuances with things like this, I would really love to get your input on all of this. Let me know who you think is in the right here. Is it actually DiMarzio that owns the actual trademarks? Is it Gibson that is vying to get a little bit more market exposure and be able to use terminology which is automatically associated with them in many times, in many circumstances, but don't actually own the trademark? So this is, this is very interesting. There's nuances at play here that we don't really fully understand if you're outside a court of law, and maybe you don't understand the laws that are in place in certain areas. So we're going to follow this story. I hope you guys like what we're presenting here. Let me know what your feedback is on all of this, if you have any, and we'll give you an update as soon as we have more information. That's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Addicted to Gear. Give me your feedback. Don't forget to subscribe. More on the way.